everybody, it's Emily. Welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a collection video. So I'm going to be doing a series of videos where I show you guys all of my makeup, and today we're going to be going through part 1, which is primers, foundation, concealer, and setting spray. So let's get started. So here are all my face primers. Let's go through these one by one. So first we have the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I really like this one. It's nice and sticky and it keeps my base on all day. This is my second one. The first one I had was a mini and I went through that very fast. So this is my second one and it's in the full size. The next primer I have is the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer. This is a pore filling primer and I was not thinking correctly and I got the big version, even though I don't really like pore filling primers that much. I still use it occasionally and I'm about like maybe a third of the way through it, and I don't really like the cheap plastic packaging because this cap has broken and split all along the bottom. But this is a pretty nice primer. It does smell a little bit like mildewy, if that makes sense, if you know what mildew and mold smells like. But yeah, it reminds me of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland. So that's that one. Another pore filling primer I have from e.l.f. is the Poreless Putty Primer. This one is a good dupe for the Tatcha Skin Silk Canvas Primer. You can see I've used it quite a bit, but not too much since I don't really like pore filling stuff anymore. I only use this when I feel like I'm really oily and my pores are really being a problem. I used to think I had really bad skin, but actually I don't. I was just seeing things that weren't there. So yeah, I still do use this occasionally, but I usually mix it with a more hydrating primer. The last one is the Glossier Future Dew Oil Serum Hybrid. I know this is technically skincare, but I like to use this before my makeup and it gets nice and sticky and glowy, and I just love the bottle. It's quite heavy and it feels very luxurious, and it makes my skin look great. Next up are all my foundations. So I think I have the most of them in like these sort of pump tube format, but first let's go through the other formats. So this is the Peri Peri Ink Cushion Foundation in number 2 Beige. This isn't my perfect color, but I like the formula. Mine is super messy, I apologize. It was a little dark for me, so I put in some moisturizer to kind of thin it out so it would be a little more wearable for me. But yeah, this is kind of just one I'm trying to work my way through because it's not my perfect color. Next up, I have two different stick foundations. This one is from ColourPop. This is the No Filter stick. Mine is in the shade Fair 07N. This is a stick foundation, obviously. I usually use this in the summer when I want like some full coverage and I know that it's not going to budge throughout the day. This is a pretty good color match, but I do usually have to use it with a more hydrating primer, or else it kind of like slips around like if I'm using a pore filling primer. This is a new addition to my collection. This is the Milk Makeup Flex Foundation Stick. Mine is in the shade Buff. I got this at a discount at TJ Maxx. It's got a couple chunks kind of missing out of it, and I was worried that this wasn't going to be my color, but I'm wearing it today and it actually looks pretty good. I was obviously worried that it wasn't going to be my color, but it works really well, so I'm really happy with it. I think it's more like a medium coverage foundation. Let me just try and get that little chunk back on the stick. Maybe, there we go, that's a little better. Yeah, so I've been liking this one so far. I'm wearing it today, but I can't really say if it wears really well or not, but I'll try and update you guys in the description of this video. My next foundation is the NARS, what is this? This is the All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation. I also got this at a discount store. I think it was at Marshall's, and this is in the color Light 2 Mont Blanc. And this is more of like a watery foundation. I think it's similar to like the Glossier Skin Tint, but this is a little bit more drying, a little less dewy, but I can definitely make this work if I use like a hydrating primer and I don't like set with too much powder. But yeah, I just wanted to try this out, and I saw that it had a good deal on it, so I bought it. Next up is one of my favorite products in my collection. This is the Glossier Skin Tint. Mine is in the shade G11 because I'm obviously very pale. This is great for those no makeup days, and I find that it actually gives enough coverage for me to feel comfortable with my skin. I don't have too many blemishes or imperfections, just a couple beauty marks and a little areas of redness, but I can usually handle the redness with some concealer, so this is just something that I can blend my concealer into, and it looks really great when I mix it with the Future Dew primer from the same brand. These last three are probably my most used, aside from the Glossier Skin Tint. These are all in kind of tube pumps. We'll talk about this one first. This is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. Mine's in the shade Fair 1N. And this is just really nice. It's a little bit more coverage than the Glossier Skin Tint, but it's still just very luminous and dewy and skin-like. And I've just really been liking this one. This one's been a big hit this year for me. Another foundation, this one's a little older. I think I got it maybe last year, like in last fall. This is the Revlon Photo Ready Candid Natural Finish Anti-Pollution Foundation in the shade 110. This really saved me when I went back east for Thanksgiving, and the foundation that I had brought with me decided to go off right before I was going to use it on Thanksgiving Day for our dinner. And fortunately, I had this with me as kind of a backup, and this really pulled through and helped me look great for my Thanksgiving dinner. So I've been really liking this one. Another one I've been liking, even though some people don't like it, it's a Too Faced Do You Full Coverage Fresh Glow Foundation. I don't really like full coverage foundation, so I usually like to mix it with the Glossier Future Dew, and I feel like it just looks so luminous and so skin-like. Mine's in the shade Snow. I also got this at TJ Maxx. I am a hoe for TJ Maxx, especially when they have brands that like I'm interested in. Like, I don't shop too much from Too Faced, but if it's like on a good discount and like I've heard some good things about a product, I would probably go and purchase it. So I've been liking this one. Now let's move on to concealers, and I've also included some color correctors in here, so I'll probably just go through those ones first. This is the ColourPop No Filter Concealer in the shade Fair 00 White. This is just a white concealer. There's not too much to say about it. I use this if like a concealer I have is like too dark, or if a foundation is too dark. This is good for just like lightening it up because I am so pale, and honestly I could probably get away with just using a straight up white concealer most days. Another color corrector I have is the LA Girl Pro Conceal High Definition Concealer. This is in the shade Light Yellow, I think. Don't roll away. And I use this for like my under eyes, since I do have some like pretty dark under eye bags. So this really like brightens it and can like counteract like the purpley blue color that I get with my under eyes. So yeah, I don't pull this out super often, only when I really feel like my bags are like a problem and I can't cover them up with just a normal concealer. My last color corrector is this NYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer. This is in the shade Green. This is just a green color corrector. It's like a pretty minty green. I only use this if I have like a really big spot of redness that I need to cover. Otherwise, like a regular concealer is fine. This is just really for when I have like a big blemish or like a big like pimple coming up that I need to cover up. The rest of these are just normal concealers. I only have one that's in like a little pot format. This is the Glossier Stretch Concealer. Mine's in the shade G12, and oh my gosh, I love this stuff. You can probably tell because I'm probably about halfway through this. This is probably one of my favorite products that I've gotten from Glossier. It's so luminous and skin-like, and it's got just enough coverage for that kind of my skin but better look. Oh, I just love this stuff. This is so good. I'm definitely going to repurchase it when I run out. I have a couple different ColourPop concealers. I have a lot of ColourPop in my collection. They're one of my favorite brands. So the first two ones I have are both from the No Filter Concealer range. One is in Fair 02 and one is in Fair 04. I just took the stopper out of this one today when doing my makeup because I am scraping the walls trying to get as much product as I can out of it before I have to start working on this one. These are both really nice, pretty skin-like. They are a little matter, it's not a word, a bit more matte than my other concealers in my collection. I've been really liking having more of like a dewy like base in my makeup this year. So yeah, I still really like these. My last ColourPop concealer is my most recent, probably my favorite out of the bunch, is the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer. Mine's in the shade Fair 10N. I really love the applicators that they have for the ColourPop concealers. I like that little flat doe foot. And this one's surprisingly high coverage, but it's still nice and dewy and fresh looking. I've been really liking this one. My last two are more like the full coverage concealers that I have in my collection that I reserve for like when I need high coverage. So the first one here is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. Mine's in the shade Fair Beige. I think this is my second one that I've had, but it's just kind of fallen to the wayside in my collection. So I'm trying to use this up and get it out of my collection because it's just hanging around. I still do like it, but I just am reaching for other things. Don't move, camera. Don't do that. My last concealer is the 16-Hour Camo Concealer from e.l.f. I'm in Light Peach. This is probably a good dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. It has a massive doe foot as well. This is really high coverage and nice and matte, but you can still blend it out really easily. I really like this one. But yeah, it's just a high coverage concealer that I use when I feel like I need it. And finally, these are my two setting sprays. I only have two because I don't feel like I need more. Also, the window is open, so I apologize if you can hear some birds chirping. They're just really excited about everything. So this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dewy Set Setting Spray. I really like this one. This is my second bottle of it. It just has a really nice glowy effect on the skin, and it makes my makeup last a long time. And then this one is my matte option, which is the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. This is for if I know I'm going to get sweaty and oily and gross throughout the day and I really want my makeup to stay on. This is what I use. So I kind of have a matte option and a dewy option. And I really like these two. And these are both products that I've bought multiple times. So that's the end of part 1. And I'll see you guys in part 2.